How much is this apartment?
12 million.
Not gonna marry him, are you?
Why not?
Because he's good looking and rich.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a romantic drama that's making waves across the US. Materialists, 2025, starring Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. But this isn't your typical love story. It's modern, bold, and emotionally raw. When love becomes a business, what happens when feelings get in the way? Let's break down the full story from start to finish. In Materialists, love isn't a fairy tale, it's a pitch deck, a formula, a contract. And Lucy, our protagonist, has mastered it like a science. She's not just a matchmaker, she's a strategist, a consultant for the rich and powerful who don't have time to fall in love the old-fashioned way. Her approach is sleek, efficient, and emotion-free. Clients walk into her Manhattan office expecting romance and leave with compatibility charts, financial profiles, and projected relationship outcomes. Lucy doesn't believe in love at first sight. She believes in predictability, in the numbers, and above all, control. But when billionaire investor Theo Harper hires her to find his perfect partner, everything begins to unravel. Theo isn't looking for love, he's looking for precision, someone who matches his public image and private needs. Lucy treats the job like any other, until Theo begins to challenge her methods. And just as she's building the ultimate romantic equation for someone else, her past crashes back in. Her ex, Dylan, resurfaces, charming, unpredictable, and everything her system can't calculate. He represents the chaos she's buried under algorithms and structure, a man who once made her feel something real, and who hurt her deeply. Now, Lucy is trapped in a love triangle she didn't plan, between a man who fits her strategy and a man who broke it. The more she tries to maintain her professional shell, the more her personal world fractures. Her cold calculations start to feel hollow. The numbers don't tell the full story anymore. There's something beyond the data: feeling, fear, risk, and the truth. In Materialists, the first act doesn't just set up a romance. It confronts a truth about modern love. When we try to design affection with logic, we lose what makes it human. Love isn't clean. It's not safe, and it definitely can't be sold. Lucy believes control is safety. To her, chaos is danger, and feelings are a liability. That's why she built her matchmaking empire on structure. Rules, filters, clean answers. She helps others find love without ever surrendering to it herself. But in Materialists, this illusion starts to collapse, and it begins with two men. Theo, the wealthy client, starts out as just another job, but he's not the cliché billionaire. He sees through Lucy's polished exterior. He notices the pauses in her voice, the deflections in her words, the tension behind her smile. Unlike her usual clients, Theo doesn't want a woman who matches him. He wants someone real. And for the first time, Lucy realizes someone is trying to connect with her, not just her business. Then there's Dylan, unpredictable, creative, messy. He's the part of her life she's tried to bury. Their history is complicated. Dylan made her feel deeply and then shattered her trust. But he also forced her to be honest, something her professional life never demands. As Lucy tries to balance these two men, her carefully constructed world begins to fall apart. Her love formula starts failing her clients. A high-profile match turns into a PR disaster. Her personal biases leak into her professional advice. And worst of all, she begins to see the cost of her own emotional suppression. She's never healed, never grown, just buried her pain beneath designer suits and business plans. Flashbacks reveal a heartbreaking chapter from her past, a relationship where she wasn't just hurt, she was silenced. This trauma shaped her obsession with order. Her business wasn't just a career, it was a defense mechanism. Theo confronts her. Dylan confuses her. And for the first time in years, Lucy realizes she doesn't have an answer. Because love isn't a solution, it's a question. And sometimes it's the one question we're most afraid to ask. By the final act of Materialists, Lucy is no longer the confident matchmaker in control. She's unraveling, professionally and emotionally. Her carefully built image has cracked, and so has her belief system. Theo wants her, not the curated version. Dylan wants closure, not repetition. And for once, Lucy stops thinking about who she should be for others and starts asking who she really is. She walks away from both men, not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. She realizes she's spent her life trying to design love the way she designs her business: clean, precise, controlled. But real love doesn't fit into a chart. It bleeds, it disappoints, it surprises, and sometimes it heals. In solitude, Lucy revisits her past, not to relive it, but to confront it. She finally accepts that her trauma doesn't define her worth. It explains her fears, but it doesn't need to dictate her future. She begins to rebuild not her company, but herself. She reconnects with her passion not for matchmaking, but for people. For their mess, their stories, their hope. Then, in a quiet moment, no background music, no sweeping gestures, she meets Theo again. Not as a client, not as a project, just as herself. He asks, "So, are you here as a professional?" She laughs for the first time in a long time and says, "No spreadsheets, no promises, just me." The film doesn't end with a kiss, it ends with a choice: to be vulnerable, to be seen, and to risk being hurt for the chance of something real. Because Materialists isn't about perfect love. It's about imperfect people learning that love isn't about finding someone who checks every box. It's about someone who still chooses you when none of the boxes make sense. In the end, Lucy doesn't conquer love. She surrenders to it. And that's what makes her story unforgettable.
And that was the full story of Materialists 2025, a modern romance that proves love isn't something you design, it's something you feel. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more full movie stories every single week. Drop a comment below. Would you choose love that's logical or one that's unpredictable? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.